Another day, another person on Discord trying to pull up the white van, and this time I decided to cover the creator of Bad Parenting, aka Anne. But if you were like me and had no idea what this game was, it's ironically a horror game about mistreating children, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was based off of his personal experience, since as you could probably tell from the thumbnail and title, and also from the fact that basically every single one of my goddamn videos is about someone speedrunning the registry and collecting children in their basement like they're Pokemon cards. Anyway, make sure to smash the like and subscribe button before I smash your mom and join the Discord server while you're at it. Anyway, this situation started like so many others do, on Discord, a place that these duster-huffing, child-touching degenerates like to flock to, right next to the many other places online that adults and children can intertwine and mingle in, which as you can probably tell has never really been a good idea, and like the many other cases I've covered, it's no different here. But let's just say that Anne has some pretty interesting fascinations, being the type of shit you find in the trenches of DeviantArt. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter what you're into as long as it's legal, and I don't really judge this kind of stuff by itself. However, notice that I said legal, because the real problem comes with the other things that turn him on, such as people whose ages are barely in the double digits and just hit puberty, because as of recent, people would find out that he had quite the pastime of having his own little ditty parties in his Discord DMs, which had seemingly started at the time of recording this around 2 or so weeks ago, when a Google Doc was made and shared exposing him by people in his server, which showed many screenshots and evidence from the victims, which showed his pattern and process of grooming. I will also link this document in the description because I was lucky enough to find the link in a YouTube video, and I don't really know where else you're supposed to find it, unless there's some easy way to do it and I'm just being stupid because I have the technological literacy as a dementia-riddled grandma. It all started out pretty normal as they were just talking regularly on Discord, but over time these conversations would get more and more personal, trying to gain the trust of this random kid on Discord, and he would vent to her about personal things as if she was some sort of therapist, which is just really fucking sad. Venting to some random 14-year-old girl on Discord while he was in his 20s, he could have gotten help, a therapist, or even a girlfriend that was actually his age, instead of spewing it all to his underage e-kitten. However, over time, this yandere dev wannabe took it from depressing to straight up illegal, and the conversations would turn sexual as he forced his fetishes on her, talking about his vor fantasies to a literal middle schooler who probably barely understands what's going on. But the only thing this guy should be eating is the pavement in a prison yard, and that's where we have such beautiful screenshots such as these. But it's not like he was unaware of what he was doing either, as it's been shown that he was fully aware of her age. Sorry about the noise, I'm not sure what fighter jet just passed my house, because there's screenshots showing that he was aware of her age, such as a screenshot where he said it would be better if she was 18, which if he actually cared about that, he wouldn't date a girl who was almost a whole decade younger than him. And also, he just blatantly calls her his girlfriend. But he wasn't just sexually abusive, as he was abusive in general, like in this screenshot where this chalk-eating troglodyte threw a tantrum at his underage Discord e-kitten because apparently playing Roblox with a girl that's half his age is more important than anything else. He clearly shows being extremely abusive and manipulative, constantly making her feel like things are her fault. Yet there's even more screenshots of him being gross and getting in calls with her, calling her cute and spamming her with texts. And then there's this one where he subtly implies that he wants to wait until she's 18 so it can be legal. This is literally shit Quagmire did. Okay, so when I was looking up a picture of Quagmire for this, the first thing that came up was this Reddit post saying, the definition of hero to zero, how the sensitive era ruined Quagmire. I'm sorry, what the fuck do you mean by hero? Another thing that was shown in the doc was when Anne had told one of them that he had a crush on someone who was around 14, and the person in this text was also 14, so apparently this guy had Jeffrey Epstein levels of access to children. However, this was before he and the 14-year-old started dating, and as it would turn out, it was just her name backwards, like he was giving some kind of Scooby-Doo hint. He would also tiptoe around the fact that this was completely illegal by describing it as some sort of barrier, only giving the important detail that said barrier was the fact that she was 14. When he was asked about the specifics. I'll never understand why people would admit to this kind of stuff, but I also don't huff paint cans, so I probably wouldn't get it. And when he was called out for this on his Discord server, he'd seemingly go through all of the stages of grief at once. At first, denying everything and asking for proof, even though he damn well already knew that there was. He would also make such brilliant excuses as saying that the vor stuff he sent wasn't sexual, as if he was just some sort of connoisseur in the hobby of vor, which is like saying Dan Schneider making little kids rub feet in his face was just some funny prank, but eventually he would cave in and make a dogshit apology in his Discord server. However, it's hard to call it an apology because it feels a lot more like an unhinged manifesto more than anything. And instead of taking accountability like he should have, he tried changing the subject and shifting the blame, at most saying that the things he did were morally wrong at the beginning of it briefly, only to immediately start fibbing again and claiming that he was actually secretly trying to end it, but they were all encouraging the 14-year-old to keep going with it. And then he would immediately try to make them look bad, saying that a 16-year-old was grooming the 14-year-old and the mods didn't do anything about it. And of course, like so many other aneurysm-inducing apologies, he also tries to get some sympathy points near the end of it. However, the document says that the things about the 16-year-old were complete bullshit, and while I can't personally prove or confirm that this was correct or not, and you always need to take any claim with a grain of salt until something is fully proven, I personally lean more towards the side that isn't more of a compulsive liar than fucking Billy Mitchell. From the way this guy acts, I wouldn't be surprised if he was built like the people from WALL-E. And again, all of this stuff is blatant grooming, and he knew what he was doing as well. Yet I'm not sure why these lobotomites still try to go after little kids, especially ones in power. And I'm not even talking about the morals of it, because I know damn well these people don't care about those, because you just can't get away with this kind of stuff anymore, and you'll pretty much always be caught someday, especially quickly in recent years. Yet these toddler fondlers would still rather throw their life and career away just to get with some middle schoolers instead of just getting help for it. Yet these hoes without a frontal lobe continue to do the same shit over and over again and fall one after another as they continue to mentally scar children online. But unfortunately, this is just one of the many examples of people whose IQ can't even reach room temperature. Though I suppose that was pretty obvious with the amount of people I've covered on here who's probably on Epstein's list. And I know I sound like a broken record stating the obvious, but shit like this is why I don't think kids and adults should be allowed to mingle on these kind of platforms. But in the end, what's done is done, and the victim has already had to go through all of this shit, which really does suck. And it also sucks that so many of these people don't get thrown into the slammer when called out, because the only people they should be around are fellow inmates. However, even though I never knew about or was a fan of this game, I still feel bad for the people who are, since I imagine it really sucks to have a game developer for a game that you really like turn out to collect children more than a Shein sweatshop. And I'm not too sure what exactly is going to happen with it, whether it'll stop entirely or new people will take hold of it. Hopefully the latter, so we don't have the indie horror game equivalent of Yandere Dev. But then again, knowing the weird shit you can do to literal high school girls in that game, like taking upskirt photos, and with how dog shit the game runs, it might as well be classified as one. Because if I had to play a small indie game that ran like I just installed a whole terabyte of crypto miners, I too would be terrified. And seeing how piss poor his response was, and all the screenshots and evidence that are against him, I don't see any way he could possibly redeem himself or turn out to be innocent, as he's already been caught and unintentionally dug his own grave. So it's pretty safe to say that he's never coming back from this one, or as slop commentary channels like to say, his career is over. And unless there's some sort of update right before I release this video, like the stuff